President Trump's hopes of overturning vote totals in this election suffered a major setback in the state of Georgia. After a 6-day recount by hand, a statewide audit has confirmed President Trump lost narrowly to President-elect Joe Biden. Despite that, Mr. Trump is ramping up his unprecedented efforts to get a second term. Yesterday, his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, held an extraordinary news conference making unsubstantiated claims of fraud. Weijia Jiang is at the White House for us. Weijia, good morning.
Good morning, Tony, and good morning to everybody. A part of this strategy played out on live television during that frantic press conference with Rudy Giuliani. It was pure spectacle, filled with unsubstantiated claims and wild conspiracy theories, none of which were supported with a single shred of evidence.
I know crimes. I can smell them. You don't have to smell this one. I can prove it to you 18 different ways.
President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, did not provide any evidence as he and the campaign's legal team floated the unsubstantiated idea that President-elect Joe Biden's win was the result of a widespread operation to rig the vote, blaming everything from Democratic donors to Venezuela.
It's disgraceful what happened.
The freewheeling 90-minute press conference left Giuliani with what appeared to be hair dye streaming down his face. And while he said this publicly about Pennsylvania's election rules,
Clearly illegal, clearly voter fraud, easily provable.
Giuliani did not make the same claims in front of a judge in Pennsylvania on Tuesday.
Does the amended complaint plead fraud with particularity?
No, Your Honor. And it doesn't plead fraud.
They are moving away from a legal strategy to now a disinformation operation.
Election law expert David Becker says it's important to pay attention to what's happening in court, where the Trump campaign has had little success in its more than 20 court cases.
It's really easy to make unsupported, wild conspiracy claims. It's really hard to support those claims in court.
The president is now getting directly and publicly involved, making the unprecedented move to invite Michigan's top Republican lawmakers to the White House. It appears to be part of a plan to overturn the results of the state, which he lost by more than 150,000 votes. The invitation comes after Mr. Trump personally called the two Republican members of Michigan's Wayne County Board of Canvassers. Afterward, they said they wanted to rescind their votes to certify the county's results, despite no evidence of widespread voter fraud, claiming the president's call had nothing to do with their decision. Late last night, Republican Senator Mitt Romney blasted President Trump on Twitter, writing the president has now resorted to overt pressure on state and local officials to subvert the will of the people. It is difficult to imagine a worse, more undemocratic action by a sitting American president.
I think they're witnessing incredible irresponsibility, incredibly damaging messages being sent to the rest of the world about how democracy functions.
Today, for the first time in more than a week, President Trump has a public event on his schedule about lowering drug prices for all Americans. President-elect Joe Biden plans to meet in Delaware with congressional Democratic leaders. He's also celebrating his 78th birthday, making him the oldest man who will ever occupy the Oval Office. President Ronald Reagan held that record before. He was 77 when he left the White House. Tony?
Might need a recount on Joe Biden's age. Perhaps he's in fact younger.
No, yeah. You know, there's
a hand recount on that.
There's a lot being made about Rudy Giuliani's hair dye, and it's not that that's problematic, because most people over the age of 60, men and women, myself included, use hair dye. It's just that I really encourage viewers to go and look at that news conference. It was so nonsensical, and then judge for yourself what everybody's talking about.
Yeah, legal experts are saying they're calling it an opening argument. It's time to move to a closing argument and evidence.
They have presented no evidence in any of the court cases.